remember that moment. She screamed your name, and it wasn't just any sound. It was the desperate sound of someone who didn't want to fall alone. An instinctive, primitive, almost silent plea, but one that you heard with every part of your body. And you hesitated. Time stopped. The world froze. There was no time to think, plan, choose. There was only now, the impulse, and yet you stopped. The game called it weakness, but the game never understood what love is. Love as a burden. Real love, raw love, the kind that rips you from the inside out, is not light. It doesn't float, it doesn't smile all the time. It's not made of butterflies in your stomach or inspirational quotes posted by strangers on social media. True love has no movie soundtrack, no rehearsed script. It is dense. It is demanding. It carries weight. It's the kind of feeling that asks for more than presence. It asks for permanence. And not just physical permanence, but emotional, mental, existential. Love demands that you be there, even when it hurts, even when it costs. And sometimes, the cost is too high. Love requires courage. Courage to watch someone bleed on the inside and not look away. Courage to hold the hand of someone who is sinking, even when it means sinking with them. It's a kind of surrender the modern world rejects, a miscalculation in the eyes of the game. You didn't let go because you didn't care. You didn't let go because you were weak. You let go because you felt so much, so deeply, that the feeling paralyzed you. You saw the fall, felt the abyss, and your body, without asking for permission, chose to survive. For 1 second, just one, you thought, if I hold on, I'll fall too. It wasn't a cold thought. It wasn't logical. It was instinctive, a preservation reflex as old as the species itself. And then you hesitated, and in that hesitation, the same love that made you want to save was the love that stopped you from acting. That's the cruel paradox. Love can be the impulse to save, and at the same time, the trigger of paralysis. To love deeply often means to feel the deep fear of loss. And the more you love, the more fear you feel. Fear of watching the other fall. Fear of falling with them. Fear of not being able to save them. Fear of not being enough. You froze not out of selfishness, but because you loved so much that, for a moment, the idea of losing her destroyed you before the fall even came, and that fear pulled you back. It stole your movement, and all that was left was the silence after the scream. That's what no one understands. The world is quick to judge. The game is ruthless. It sees hesitation and writes in red letters, weakness. But it doesn't see what happened inside you. It doesn't see the war between the urge to save and the terror of losing everything. Maybe love, when it's real, is a burden, a sweet and brutal weight. And maybe, just maybe, you didn't fail because you felt too little, but because you felt too much. 2. The invisible reflection of guilt. Since then, even if you never speak of it, it has followed you. In every hug that came after, in new names, in new eyes. With each new connection, something trembles, a reflection of an old fear, a quiet dread that if you love again, you might fail again. And so, you hold back. You love with breaks, with limits, with filters. The invisible reflection of guilt. Since then, even if you never speak of it, it has followed you. In every hug that came after, in new names, in new eyes. rise. With each new connection, something trembles. A reflection of an old fear, a quiet dread that if you love again, you might fail again. Survival instinct versus love. Inside us, there is a silent code. It doesn't scream, doesn't ask for permission, doesn't explain, it simply acts. A biological, primal code that always prioritizes survival. It's an instinct that predates words, before thought, before love, and sometimes that code wins. Even when everything in you, everything in your heart wants to jump, wants to save, wants to hold on, but the body freezes. It's subtle, almost invisible. A split second before action, the impulse rises but never becomes movement. Not because you chose not to act, but because fear gripped harder. Fear of falling to, fear of ending there, fear of not making it back. And in that moment, love lost to instinct. You didn't run, but you didn't save either. And it's in that space between what you wanted to do and what you actually did that guilt is born. A void that words can't explain. An internal silence that follows you into every relationship after that. Every new attempt to love carries a shadow because you remember, and your body remembers. The mind tries to justify. It says there wasn't time, that there was no way, that it was impossible. But the heart doesn't hear logic. It hears only the echo of a name screamed and the silence of your hesitation. But the game doesn't see that. The game doesn't see the internal conflict. It doesn't see the silent war between instinct and affection. It doesn't measure intention. It doesn't calculate what you felt. It only measures what you did or didn't do. To the game, only the visible exists. The action, the gesture, the leap, and everything that doesn't move is automatically labeled as weakness, hesitation, paralysis, doubt. All of it is read as failure because the game is made for machines, for cold decisions, for those who run, push, attack. But you are not a machine. You are flesh, blood, feeling, and in that fraction of a second, between the desire to save and the fear of falling, you are exactly that. Human. That is the cost of loving in a place where only those who shut off their hearts survive, where only those who don't feel can win. And that's why love never wins here. The scream that remains, that voice still echoes, her screaming your name, and even if no one else heard it, you always do. It's the kind of memory that doesn't age, doesn't fade. It only adapts. It hides in the small decisions, in future, loves, in the silence between two touches, the love that paralyzes. Many people believe that love is always strength, that it drives, that it pushes, that it makes someone cross the impossible. But that's a comfortable illusion, a romanticized version sold in stories where everything ends well. In reality, especially here, love can also paralyze. And that's the side of love no one talks about, because it's hard to accept that the noblest, most intense feeling can also be the one that freezes you. True love shows you everything there is to lose. It doesn't blind, it exposes. It shows you the fall, the end, what can be destroyed. And that terrifies. The fear didn't come from a lack of love. It was born from its intensity. It was love that screamed inside you, saying, "If you go, you might not come back." It was love that showed you the pain of losing her, but also the pain of being lost. And in that moment, your mind didn't do rational math. It simply froze. Your body locked. The impulse to save was smothered by the fear of being taken down too. Because to love someone deeply also means imagining yourself in their place, to feel the ground opening beneath their feet as if it were your own. And in that instant vision, almost unconscious, you saw the end. And the end was too dark, too real. The game calls that weakness. It only sees the hesitation, the second you didn't move, didn't run, didn't hold on. But the game doesn't see what stopped you. It doesn't feel the emotional collapse that happened inside you. It doesn't hear the scream within. It only watches what didn't happen, and it labels. But the truth is, in that moment, love weighed more than courage, more than logic, more than hope. It was love that paralyzed you, not selfishness, not cowardice, but the sheer terror of losing everything at once, her, yourself, and everything that could have been. And that terror won, not because you were weak, but because you felt too much. And in this world, feeling too much always comes at a cost. The game is cold. In the game, there is no room for emotion. Here, love is a delay, a distraction, a miscalculation. Those who love lose seconds. And seconds in this world cost lives. Connection as weakness. The Two of Cups should mean connection. But here, connection is just another thread that can drag you under. Every bond is a trap. Every affection, a distraction. You loved. And because of that, you fell. Even standing, you fell on the inside. Love doesn't guarantee salvation. Loving someone is not enough. You can scream, run, try, and still lose. Love doesn't save. Not in this game. Not in this world. The price of hesitation. What was left? The silence after the scream. The absence that never makes sense. The certainty that, on that day, time won. And you carry that, as if loving now were a silent, endless apology for not being able to save her then. Humanity as a system error. Maybe the mistake wasn't you. Maybe the mistake was believing that love had power here. Because here, being human is what gets you killed. And love is the most human part of you that still remains. She screamed your name before she fell, and you hesitated. Does that condemn you? Maybe. But maybe contrary to what the game says, it's what saves you. Because that hesitation, as painful as it was the only proof that you truly loved. In the end, the Two of Cups carries the idea of union. But in this place, union is weakness. And love, no matter how strong, beautiful, or sincere, never wins here.